So a few quick reminders about your test. First of all, you only have a 4-hour window. So once you start it, you only have 4 hours in which to complete it. So make sure that when you start it, you are like in a good place and you're ready to go through the whole thing. Because if something happens and you leave and you don't come back within that 4-hour window, your test will be submitted at the point when you left it. Number 2, there are no late passes allowed on this test. The due date is the due date, and that is that. Number 3, make sure that you know how to get a picture from your phone to your computer before you take the test. You want to make sure that you can get that picture uploaded for your work. That way you can get your 15 points for your work. Also, keep in mind that I have to hand grade those 15 points, and I'm not going to do that until after everybody completes their test, so that's after the due date. So please don't go, oh my God, what happened? Did I not get my 15 points? You're fine. I have to hand grade it. As long as you put the picture in there, you're good. As long as your work matches your question, you're good. Don't forget that the test will not unlock until you complete your submission agreement. So if you're sitting there going, why don't I have access to my test? Make sure you completed your submission agreement. And then afterward, you have that quiz to take. That's just you telling me how you feel about the class so far. 1 submission per question on the test. No, try another similar option on the test. So you get 1 try for each question and that's it. Okay? Having said all of that, let's take a look at what we can expect to see. All right. So we're starting with linear equations, which is good because that's where we just left off. Here, if we have g of negative 20 equals 6 and g of 12 equals 1, well, that means I know 2 points. I know negative 26 and I know 12, 1. So I'm always going to start by finding the slope. So that's going to be 1 minus 6 over 12 minus negative 20, which is going to be negative 5 over 32. Now, remember that the equation is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to use my point here, and I'm going to say this is x, this is y, and this is m. And I'm going to plug in so that I can get b. So then 6 equals, let's do negative 5 over 32. 32 times 20. Math enter, negative 25 over 8. And then I'm going to add that 25 over 8 to both sides. So then 6 plus 25 over 8. And then again, math enter, 75 over 4. So the equation of my line, now see how that says t right here? So this is g of t equals negative 5 over 32t plus 75 over 4. Okay? So here, remember when we did transformations, I told you you do the opposite on the inside and the opposite order also. So here you would think that you would multiply by negative 5.5 and add 9.3, but you're not going to do that. Instead, you're going to subtract 9.3 and then divide by negative 5.5. So the opposite operation and in the opposite order. Instead of multiply, add, you subtract, divide. Okay? So 5 minus 9.3 divided by negative 5.5. Oh, they have decimals, so I guess we can put decimals. 0.78. 0.78. And then for the outside, you do the right order. So we would take 4 and we would multiply by 14.4 and then subtract 9. Why did I say 9 and write 7? That was strange. So 4 times 14.4 minus 9. 48.6. So then this was 0.78, and this was 48.6. Okay, so in the inside, you do the opposite operations and in the opposite order. On the outside, you do the same operations in the same order. Okay? All right. Next, we'll round to 3 decimal places as needed. So here I have P, F, and M. So P plus F of 5 is going to be the same as P of 5 plus F of 5. So here's P. P of 5 is 3. Here's F. F of 5 is 1. So P of 5 plus F of 5 is 4. F of 3 minus M of 3. Okay. F of 3 is 4. M of 3, well, let's figure that out. Negative 2 times 3 squared. Nope, negative 2. Negative 2 times 3 plus 8 times 3 squared minus 9. 57. M of 3 is 57. So then 4 minus 57 would be negative 53. P of 4 times M of 4. So P of 4 is 1. And then M of 4 is negative 2 times 4 plus 8 times 4 squared minus 9, 111. 1 times 111 is 111. And then F of 1 divided by P of 1. Let's see, F of 1 is 5. P of 1 is 4. Three decimal points, well, 5/4 is 1.25. Okay. Okay. Domain and range. Remember, domain is left to right, range is bottom to top. If there is no dot, then assume there's an arrowhead. So left to right, this starts at 1, and it's got a closed dot, so 1 gets a bracket. And then it's going to keep on going to the right forever. Bottom to top, well, it's going to go down forever, so that's negative infinity. And then its highest y value is at 5. And since that is a point on the graph, it gets a bracket. Y equals mx plus b. And here it's h of c and c. So my b value is negative 1. And then here's another point right here. I go down 1, 2, 3, and over 2. That means that my slope is negative 3 over 2. So then my equation would be h of c equals negative 3 over 2c minus 1. Okay. Next page. All right. So remember we said that inside is horizontal change, adding on the outside is vertical change, and multiplying on the outside is either a vertical stretch or a vertical compression. If this number is greater than 1, then it's a stretch. If it's in between 0 and 1, it's a compression. If this is a minus sign, then it reflects over the x-axis. So the 2 would be a vertical stretch. The 10 would be a horizontal shift. We would say that it would shift left 10. Remember, the inside is the opposite, just like we talked about before. 17 is a vertical shift, so that would shift up 17. Okay. All right. Let us graph this. Now, remember the last thing that I did on my calculator, I messed with my zoom. So just hit zoom and then 6 to get back to the standard viewing window. The other thing you're going to want to do is turn off your plot, because we had to turn our plot on. Nope, just kidding. Turn off our plot, go over to it, press enter, and now you won't get the dots anymore. Okay. So negative 2x to the third. What did I do? Negative 2x to the third plus 1.47x squared plus 12.8712x minus 7.9. It's actually not a bad window. I know they suggest negative 15 to 15, but I think that we were okay at negative 10 and 10. And the y of max of 10 seemed good, but it looked like it went a little bit off on the bottom. I mean, I think that's a pretty good one. I actually think I'm going to change this window so that instead of negative 15 and 15, it's like negative 7 and positive 7. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm happy with this one. Okay, so first, remember to find the zeros. We're going to press second and then trace to get to calc. Choose option 2 for zeros. Take your cursor, move it anywhere to the left of that first 0, and then press enter. Anywhere to the right of that first 0, and then press enter. And basically you're asking the calculator, in between these two places, where does this cross the x-axis? So press enter one more time to get past guess. 0.24, how many decimal points do they want? 3. So 0.2489. Negative 2.489. Okay, let's do it again. Second and then calc. 0. Go so that you are anywhere to the left of this 0. Press enter. Then anywhere to the right of the 0 and press enter. And then enter one more time. So 0.606. One more time. Second and then calc. Second and then trace to get to calc. 0. Anywhere to the left of this first 0, this last 0. Anywhere to the right of this last 0. 2.617. Okay. Oh man, I did it backwards. These three are the r-intercepts. The g of r-intercept is the y-intercept. And if you have a polynomial in standard form, like this one, then your constant term is your y-intercept. Because if I'm wondering when r is 0, well, this is going to be 0, this is going to be 0, and this is going to be 0. And all I'm going to be left with is that negative 7.9.
Cute.
You know?
Cute.
Here, let me see it. I'll help you.
Cute.
No, what happened?
Happy deal. Happy. Happy deal.
How about,
Banga.
you want to go back to what you were watching?
Okay.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Now we're going to use the calculator to find the minimum and the maximum again. So we're going to go second and then trace to get to calc. We'll do the minimum first. Move your cursor so that it is anywhere to the left of that minimum. And press enter. Move it again so it's anywhere to the right of that minimum. Press enter. Enter one more time to get past guess. So then the minimum of negative 17.787 at r equals negative 1.240. Okay, now let's find the maximum. So second and then calc maximum. Move your cursor so that it's anywhere to the left of the maximum. Press enter. Anywhere to the right of the maximum. Press enter. Enter one more time. So a maximum of 8.411 at r equals 1.73. Because that 9 is going to bump up that 9, and that 9 is going to then bump up the 2. Okay? All right. Now, these are the numbers that we need for increasing and decreasing. The first section of the graph is decreasing. It starts decreasing at negative infinity. And it stops decreasing at that minimum. And then it starts increasing. So it starts increasing at that minimum. And it stops increasing at that maximum. After that, decreasing again. So it starts decreasing at that maximum. And it will continue to decrease forever. Okay, so these two numbers are the only numbers that you should have in here. Okay. This one looks familiar. Let's try it again. So here we have U and K. We'll go stat, edit. And let's put the first list in L1.
Yeah.
And then the second list in L2.
Yeah.
What happened, BB?
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. I don't know why you keep pressing buttons.
Thank you.
I know. Oh, uh-oh. Pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep on pressing buttons, weirdo. Here. Now, to get the regression equation, we're going to go to stat, and then calc, and then linear regression. All of those should be right. Just press calculate. So my regression equation is 3 decimal places. So this is k equals 0.866u plus 4.001. And then r is 0.997, and r squared is 0.994. Okay. All right. Using your linear regression, how many murders can be expected in a state with 10,400? So 10,400 would be 10.4 thousand. So then I would have k equals 0.866 times 10.4 plus 4.001. $13.007. Okay. How many automatic weapons would you expect in a city with 6 murders? So then this would be M is 6. No, this would be K is 6. This one was M. So then we would say 6 equals 0.866 W plus 4.001. Subtract the 4.001. It's going to be 1.999, I think. Should just stick with my gut. Divided by 0.866. Yeah, 2.308. And then remember we said round to the nearest whole weapon. So this was 2.308 thousand. So this would be 2,308. Okay. And then last but not least for our test review, remember the r-intercept is going to be when f of r is 0. And the f of r-intercept is going to be when r is 0. So for this one, I'm going to say 0 equals negative 16 minus 15r. We'll add the 16. Divided by negative 15. 16 divided by negative 15. They said 3 decimal places. So negative 1.067. And then for this one, but 15 times 0 is just going to be 0. So then your f of r-intercept is negative 16. Okay. Now here, they want to know the average rate of change is the slope. So this is going to be either increasing or decreasing, and this is going to be either positive or negative. So here we have a negative slope. which means that my function is decreasing. If your slope is positive, then your function is increasing. So that means that this line is decreasing. So then here on the right, we would say as r approaches positive infinity, that's this way, f of r is going down. And then on the left side, as r approaches positive infinity, negative infinity, as r approaches negative infinity, so as it goes left, your f of r is going up. And if this is an increasing function, these two flip places, everything else is the same. Okay? Now, I want to make a note that I do examples like directly from your homework when we do homework problems. I didn't take examples directly from the test because I didn't feel like that was what I should do. So those examples are close. The test review that Andy wrote, that is the doc that's not going to be collected or graded, that's going to be the closest to what you'll see on your test. So I would recommend doing that before you take your test. Okay? But if you were okay with our test review, then you'll probably be okay on the test. I did not cover every single little piece, but I did a lot of it and I got pretty close. Okay? So make sure that you know when your test is due. Remember that you only have a 4-hour window, and I'm not going to answer questions on the test. So the only time you should be pressing message my instructor on the test is if you think you got, like, if you're like, if after you get your grade, you're like, look, my answer's the same. Otherwise, I'm not going to answer questions on the test.